For the last few years, I've always had at least one Sabrina Carpenter song stuck in my head. This modern hitmaker is one of the brightest examples of success from the Disney show to pop star pipeline. I mean, she hasn't exactly started a space tech company like the GOAT Bridget Mendler, but as far as the music goes, I think she's absolutely in the top class. Now, I only know a few of the hits, but I know the rabbit hole goes very deep here because I started dating an enthusiast. She even smells like her. So what's your favorite perfume?
My favorite perfume is the Sabrina Carpenter one. It's Sweet Tooth and Cherry Baby.
So in this video, I'm going to listen to every Sabrina Carpenter album, and then my girlfriend will be reacting to my ranking. Hopefully I'm not single by the end of this. Now, as always, I'm going to do a pre-rank of what I expect my ranking to be before listening to these albums. At the bottom, we have Evolution. Something about this album just doesn't feel right to me. After that is Eyes Wide Open. Her debut that came out while she was still on a Disney show, I believe. That's going to be my second to bottom. Then we have the singular act albums 1 and 2 respectively. I don't know a ton about these projects. After that, I have Man's Best Friend. Obviously, this is the new release. It's not so much that I think this is going to be worse than the other two. I've just heard more about the other two. So number 2 is Emails I Can't Send. This is my girlfriend's favorite. I've heard a lot of good things about it. I've also actually heard songs from Short and Sweet, and I have yet to hear a bad one, so Short and Sweet is number 1 in my pre-rank. Now these albums all kind of fit into their own era, bar Emails I Can't Send, so we're going to be discussing them in their eras, and then also Emails will have its own section, I guess. So that being said, time to discuss the first era. As we discussed earlier, these two albums were released on the Hollywood Records label, which is owned by Disney. So when doing the pre-rank for this, I just kind of automatically dismissed these two projects because it was going to be Disney music, which in hindsight was a bit foolish for me because I love the Yossa and Ally album, and it is 110% Disney music. So that would explain why I enjoyed these way more than I was expecting to. And they didn't deserve to be at the bottom of my pre-rank. That was mean of me. That was mean-spirited of me. The debut, Eyes Wide Open, is just such a cute album. There's no better way to say it. Is it the best stuff I've heard from her even before going into this? No. But is it bad? Absolutely not. Obviously, with these being Disney productions, I assumed there was a lot of extra help. I mean, they were quite well produced. But, you know, overall, as a debut project, this is decently impressive. You know, in the iMovie default sound library, there's that simple track. It just sounds like that expanded into different ways, which some people probably think is an insult, but I sincerely mean it as a compliment. But also, she had that earworm manufacturing ability. There's a better way to say that. She knew how to make earworms even back then. Your Love's Like is unironically stuck in my head. If this is where she started, then I'm excited to see where she goes. Anyways, her style and quality are evolved in the next album, Evolution, which I was expecting to like less than Eyes Wide Open, just because I think the cover and the title just feels a bit silly, feels a bit, I don't know what the word is. It just makes me feel a type of way. And I don't feel like I should like this album. It overall just feels a little silly, kinda. But at the same time, I just kind of love the sound of it. If you watch any of the videos of my Every Album series, you know I like a synth. I do love a synth. And when the first track had a little drop going, a little dance break, I was a fan of that. I was grooving in the kitchen. I was doing dishes when I listened to it. I liked it. I was like, oh, I'm in for a good ride. And yeah, I feel like this was another really solid project and better than Eyes Wide Open by a decent margin. I'm not surprised that an album that came out from Disney that was probably trying to reach a very broad appeal at the time sounds like this. Like, I'm not like, wow, it's so inventive, but I don't know. Listening to it in this day with nostalgia for music of that time, sort of like how True Romance was, is a better album to be clear. But sort of how I felt about those early Charlie albums, like, it just hits for me, and I do appreciate it. I had heard Thumbs back in the day, and I remember listening to that at the time being like, damn, this is kind of deep. And, you know, inherently the message it's kind of going for, I suppose, is deep, but I giggled a little bit listening to it. I wouldn't say it's like a sonically bad song, but like if current day Sabrina Carpenter puts out Thumbs, I'm finding it funny. 16-year-old Sabrina Carpenter, it's also pretty funny. But at the same time, it's pretty catchy. I'll be real, it's pretty catchy. The more I'm like talking, it feels like I'm trying to talk myself out of liking it, but I liked this album. I enjoyed it. But yeah, to summarize the whole Disney era, really impressive stuff. A very, very strong start. And yeah, I can see why the pipeline works, you know? Really paints the picture of this like very, I'm gonna make the pun again, very like gradual evolution she's had into her career. But yeah, not starting with flops, always good. Alright, the singular act albums. Right off the bat, I feel like these could be named better. My understanding of the story behind this is that it was meant to be one album, but she decided to split it into two because she wanted to pursue different tones and themes on either project. Makes me wonder why they aren't just two different albums, but it is what it is. I don't really feel a strong sense of cohesion from these two projects. There really is enough differences to make them their own thing, and I did enjoy them to very different degrees. I did feel that Act 1 was weaker than Act 2. That being said, the highs were higher on that one. Act 2 was just more consistent overall. But on Act 1, songs like Bad Time and Hold Tight really stood out as being really enjoyable tracks for me. But there was just a lot of weaker moments where I've just seen her do better even on her older albums. Her lows unfortunately did just drag a bit for me, but I do feel that Act 2 is where we really see her develop and mature as an artist. I think hitmaker Sabrina is really born here, and definitely where we start to see more of these unhinged lyrics, I guess you'd say. I see that word used a lot to describe her songwriting, which I know I always feel like it gives the subtext that it's bad, but I don't think it is. Overall, I just think Act 2 was a much stronger album. I enjoyed it a lot more. I'm not trying to rank these purely on catchiness, but if it was what we were doing, actually, I was going to say Act 2 clears, but the hits on Act 1 are very catchy still. I'm also just noticing now that these were both still on Hollywood Records, so it's still technically Disney music. I didn't clock that. These albums are good. I'm not overly surprised they weren't the ones that propelled into mainstream success. We do see the birth of hitmaker Sabrina here, but they're not actual hits yet. They're just the recipe is clearly all here, and it just needs exposure. That's the overall story I'm seeing in these projects. And the seed that's planted here does grow, explodes, what am I trying to say? Emerges on the next album, Emails I Can't Send. A nice change of pace, going from what I would say is the weakest named projects, being the singular acts, to what I'm saying is the strongest named project. Emails I Can't Send, good title, then the deluxe being called Forward. I like that. I see what you're doing. Big fan of that. If singular act 2 was where hitmaker Sabrina was born, then, well, this is where they become actual hits. Actually, Thumbs was low-key a hit, wasn't it? That doesn't count. That was different. This is the first album where I knew tracks from it prior to getting a girlfriend. Feather, Nonsense, Vicious, those are all undeniable hits. And they are good, catchy songs. There's nothing inherently wrong with them. The problem is that she really has washed them out with her work since. In my opinion, none of those three songs are better than her current day hits, which I think speaks more so for the quality she's reached now more than it is about me having a lack of quality. That being said, it doesn't really help this album when I'm going to compare it against the rest of her discography. I definitely did appreciate the deeper level of songwriting she displayed here. A lot more emotional work, a higher level of artistic integrity, I'd say, as well. Fortunately, though, I just don't think I'm in the demo to really enjoy a lot of these songs. I do feel, at least on this first listen through, that a lot of its deeper meaning was lost on me. And I do have to say that there was a few moments where I was sitting there listening and being like, what is she talking about? Maybe if I was a 17-year-old girl who was going through heartbreak, I would feel very differently about this album. I totally get how this album finding you at the right time could mean a lot to someone. I do want to be delicate with how I say this because this is my girlfriend's favorite, so I've got to be careful, base level. But I also know this is a lot of people's favorite, and a lot of people's fandom of her starts from here. There's this album called Awake by Linium, and it's just sad dubstep, and it's maybe one of my favorite albums of all time because of when I found it. But it's not an album that I would show to someone with the expectation that they're going to love it the same way I do. Where a person is in their life when you're listening to a piece of music drastically affects how they're going to feel about the music and basically change how it sounds. And so it would be unrealistic of me to, chuck on Crawl Out of Love and be like, yo, this is deep, right? Because it's sad dubstep. And if you don't like dubstep and if you're not sad, it's not going to do anything for you. And that's where I'm getting to for a lot of these songs, that if I was a teenager and maybe also a girl, I would probably feel very differently about these tracks. But I'm just a dude in his 20s though, in a happy relationship. So I'm basically just soft launching the idea that this album might not be super high in my ranking, despite how high it was in my pre-ranking. It's not going to be number 2. I am sorry. Last thing I want to say though is that I definitely think there was a bigger harmony between her voice and the production on this album. Lots of moments where I was like, oh, this is sounding really nice. Something that I know does improve on her later work, but still cool to see here. And now we've arrived to the current day. Full, unbridled stride of hitmaker Sabrina Carpenter. This woman low-key can't miss now. Short and Sweet is a fantastic album. Even after listening to multiple projects in a row, this album is just fun back-to-back. Cover to cover. I obviously knew a lot of the songs of this album because they're hits. But also the tracks I didn't know were very good. The whole album is so catchy. Her use of melody is fantastic. One of my biggest green flags as a music artist. The production and instrumentals suit her really well. The songwriting is fun. Yes, it is sometimes a bit on the nose, but I don't think it works too much against it. The Dolly Parton feature, a cool moment. I probably won't listen to that again, but like, you know, cool that she got her on there. But just such a great album. And especially seeing her development in these albums I've just listened to, it's honestly like a satisfying, I don't want to say conclusion because it's definitely the start of her next era, but it really feels like this is a project where she just comes fully into her own. I guess arguably that album could also be Emails, but the quality and consistency on this project is just second to none in her work. Even compared to Man's Best Friend, which is still very good and I still enjoyed a lot. I don't want to say it's a step backwards. I didn't enjoy it as much because it isn't trying to be the same kind of album Short and Sweet was. And I respect that creative decision, and there's still plenty of tracks on this album that still satisfy that urge. When Did You Turn Hot is a very catchy track and was everywhere on the short form feeds. The music videos for this album have definitely maintained the same level of consistent quality that we saw in Short and Sweet. Her little creative world she's building is pretty cool. Will be interesting to see where she takes it in the future. I can't really think of any bad tracks that were on either of these albums. Both these albums, but especially Short and Sweet, are just so remarkably consistent. It's not that we never see this, but we don't see it very often in pop. Not having any songs that feel like a drag, it's a big accomplishment. I'm just sort of gushing at this stage. I'm not too sure what else to add, but I want to say more. Obviously, these are her most popular albums and what have propelled her into the mainstream. I think they're completely deserving of having that status in her career. High quality pop music, due to the nature of the world, we'll never get enough of it. So it's important to appreciate it when you see it, you know? A lot of good pop music that's come out recently is very experimental, which obviously I'm a fan of. I think albums like Brat are really good. But seeing an album that's like still broad appeal pop music and not so much playing it safe, but trying to prove itself in a very saturated market is something we don't see very often. And so when an album like Short and Sweet comes around, it's important to acknowledge it, I think. Anyways, just my thoughts on the last era. Time to show the misses my ranking. Hopefully we stay together by the end of it. Alright. Everyone, this is Finn. This is everyone.
Hello, everyone.
Alright, I'm about to read you my ranking.
It's about to make or break point.
You're not allowed to break up with me until after hearing this. Please just remember I am just a boy.
I'll go easy on you.
I've obviously heard a lot of your songs, so I've driven with you in a car before. So, there was a familiarity that I was expecting on some of them. Mm-hmm. So I think they probably influenced it a little bit. Mm-hmm. Anyways, without any further ado, at the bottom of my list, can you take a guess what's at the bottom of my list?
Is it her first album?
No, I like that one.
Okay.
It is Singular Act 1. I think that's her weakest project. Doesn't have her worst songs, funny enough, I don't think. Oh, a couple maybe. But none of the highs compete with the highs on the other albums. Okay. Next after that is Eyes Wide Open. Okay. Which I actually wanted to put higher because I really enjoyed it. But the highs on the other ones just kind of wash it.
Well, we had this conversation in the car.
We did have this conversation already.
We had this conversation in the car where we both agreed that it's not a bad album, it's just not one of her best.
Yeah, but considering the context it comes out, that's impressive. But as it's just standing against other ones.
Yeah.
After that one, I have Emails I can't send
what
forward.
What the hell? Why? Give me a valid reason.
So this is definitely the first album where she starts getting Sabrina Carpenter anthems, the hits, mm-hmm. songs like Nonsense and Feather, etc. Mm-hmm. But those songs aren't as good as the other ones she's done since or a little before that as well. And the lows on this album just kind of pull it back a lot. That sun's getting really bright in my eyes right now. I felt really bad listening to it because I obviously know it's your favorite, but I was and then obviously the hits are hits, but they're not. After that, I have Evolution.
That's crazy. That's so crazy. That's insane.
Evolution's her silliest project, definitely. It just feels a bit funny. Mm-hmm. But it kind of has some bangers, I won't lie. I think it's the fact that it low-key just sounds like an EDM album.
Yeah.
And
see, I kind of knew that Evo would be a bit higher on the ranking.
It was at the bottom of my pre-rank.
Crazy.
Yeah. Mm. So I enjoyed it significantly. It was the first song kind of tricked me. I was this is whatever. And then it had a drop, and I was I kind of like her on these kind of songs.
He likes anything with a bass drop.
Not anything, but her voice works with it, you know?
It does, yeah. It's, again, this is my opinion on...
I really enjoy those Sabrina Carpenter EDM remixes, and it kind of just hits the same match.
I respect both of her start albums, especially considering they come from a place of being on a Disney contract. I think they still work really well for Sabrina albums, and I think she did an impressive job on them.
I feel a song like Nonsense is better than everything on Evolution, but the lows on Evolution are higher than Emails.
That's such a crazy opinion.
but it's my opinion. After that is Man's Best Friend.
Okay.
I feel like you could be okay with that. You know, it's new.
I do like it.
It's new. I enjoyed it. Might grow on me, might not. Depends how much you play it, I guess.
It's growing on me more and more every day that I listen to it.
I think your influence is going to completely dictate how much.
Yeah.
I'm getting blinded right now.
That sounds like an issue, bro.
There's so much sun in my eyes right now. So obviously we have 2 left. What one do you think is number 2?
I think you put Short and Sweet at number 2.
I put Singular Act 2 at number 2.
Oh.
Like that's where I said this in my pre-up, but like this is where hitmaker Sabrina Carpenter is born. I feel. I thought we just get some like really good bangers from her, and there weren't many lows on it. That was making me feel weird about it. Kind of just inherently just felt like the first very good Sabrina Carpenter album. Short and Sweet is just a great album. I don't. There's not much I can do for you.
Where was that on your pre-ranking?
Number 1.
Okay.
Yeah, so like, this is
fair enough. Yeah,
I was alright.
To be fair, like when we first started dating, I was playing that album on repeat.
Yeah, but is that the fact it came out right when we started dating?
Yeah.
But also, like, I don't know, like, there was a little bit of like familiarity with it. Like, when I finally got to listen to it, I was like, oh yes. But like, even the songs I didn't know on it, I'm like, these are still great.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a bad song on it.
No, I agree. I think Short and Sweet is one of her strongest projects that she's done.
It just, where's it sit for you?
So it's number 2 for me.
Number 2, okay.
Yeah.
Count. Yeah. Number 1 being Emails I Can't Send.
Yeah, Emails I Can't Send Forward, specifically the extended version. Again, that has meaning to me for like when I listen to it, where I was in my life, and like what the music means to me. And I think it's definitely more of like
it's like a context driven liking for it versus it actually also, just being that good.
Also, I think all the songs slap on that album. Oh yeah, I'll sing every single one of them in the car. I'll put the album on and I'll know every lyric to every song.
So how do you feel about my ranking overall? There's a deep breath you just took.
You're just a boy.
That's the number 1 thing I wanted you to keep.
I'm not going to break up with you. You get to walk out of here with a girlfriend today.
Thank God.
However, I think I need to make you listen to Emails I Can't Send Forward more. I love Sabrina.
What do you give a new album out of 10?
See, my thing is that it's getting better and better the more I listen to it, because I listened to it the first time, like, this is fantastic, I enjoy this project so much. But then the more and more I listen to it, the more I'm like, actually, I love it even more each time. So it just, I don't know.
So it could be like an 8 at the moment, but it'll be 10 by the end of the year.
I reckon after like the next like 2 listens, it's gonna be like one of my.
So Short and Sweet's a 10 to you?
Yeah.
Emails I Can't Send also.
Anything made by Sabrina Carpenter is a 10 to me. Sabrina, if you ever see this, hi.
But is Evolution a 10?
I said it. Everything made by Sabrina Carpenter is a 10.
And that's what we needed to hear, folks. All right, so good news. We didn't break up. Me putting Evolution above Emails I Can't Send Forward wasn't the end of our relationship. Huge W on that one. Bad news. My editing software wiped itself. I've lost every video project I was working on for the past 3 years, including this one, so it took a little bit longer to make. You know, the plan was to get this out much closer to Man's Best Friend's release. Didn't quite happen. However, because of it, I'm able to actually give you an accurate, list of all the songs got stuck in my head after doing this project. I knew there's a lot of songs, but writing them down, like, it's a decent list we got here. I'm not saying these are our best songs ever. These are just the songs that at some point I was humming for at least a day. This is also just them in track list order. First of all, we've got Eyes Wide Open. Next is Your Love's Like. That's been consistently stuck in my head since I listened to it. On Purpose, specifically the little drop they did. Bad Time is my most listened to Sabrina Carpenter song now. Actually, Tricky, which is a feature, if that counts, is probably still number 1, but this is climbing. Then I'm Faking, Looking at Me, Already Over, Feather, Bad for Business, Taste gets stuck on my head all the time. Good Graces, Sharpest Tool, more necessarily like the breakdown chorus thing. We never talk. You know what I'm talking about. Bedcam, Espresso, Juno. Oh my God, Juno gets stuck in my head all the time. Busy Woman, Manchild. I didn't even like Manchild when it came out. It just eventually got stuck in my head anyways. I can't even blame Flynn for that. That was just, my brain just did that to itself. Tears, Nobody's Son, When Did You Get Hot, Go Go Juice, and House Tour. Man's Best Friend's actually got some catches in there. When I move it up on my ranking, anyways, really enjoyed listening to these. A very, very fun discography. I look forward to seeing what Sabrina does next. I do get the feeling she's going to be around for a while. She was one of the best things about the new Taylor Swift album. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed watching this video and I didn't upset you too much. I know I have a habit of doing it sometimes in these videos, so I do apologize if that was the case. YouTube's about to recommend you another couple videos of mine that you might like. Maybe give one of those a go. Subscribe if you haven't already. Stay hydrated, stay healthy, and I'll catch you later. This has been Finn.
Hi.
This has been Adam.